Right, let's talk more about this division of the anti-corruption and economic crimes that has been launched today. Joining us from our city center studio is Justice Lydia Achode. Thank you, Judge, for making time for KTN Prime. Let's begin with some of the details we've had from that report by Timothy Etieno, that this is a court that will be based here in Nairobi. So what about those who would be concerned about other parts of the country, because corruption, rather, is not only here in Nairobi?
Most of the matters are actually in Nairobi.
Hello?
Hello. Most of the matters are actually in Nairobi.
Right.
You find that the Magistrates Court in Nairobi, for example, has 129 matters, whereas in the counties, there are few matters scattered in different counties.
All right.
And then the applications are the ones which are very many at the High Court level, and those are the ones which need to be dealt with urgently.
So how does this court solve the runarounds we've seen some of these cases take in as far as the judiciary is concerned?
That is the reason this division has been set up, because when these matters are scattered in the different divisions, they are not labeled as anti-corruption matters, because if they're in the criminal division, for example, they are just a review or an appeal like any other, and they queue. Because of the sheer volumes of the matters in those divisions. If they are in the civil division, for example, for asset recovery, they have to queue like the others. But when they come to the anti-corruption division, a judge is able to get the application today, give directions for service, and when the parties come the next day, they can actually be heard if they are ready. Within a day or a week, they can be heard, because that is all that this division is doing.
All right, we've also heard that 70% of the reasons why we're seeing slow pace in prosecuting corruption matters is outside the judiciary. So the judiciary has put this division in place. But what are you doing in as far as working with other agencies to ensure that, again, it doesn't go back to the blame game of shifting the ball and saying in the back it's a different agency that's letting the war in corruption down?
That's why, if you notice today, it was a multi-agency approach. It was not the judiciary launching it alone. You saw the Honorable the Chief Justice surrounded by the Honorable Attorney General, the DPP, and the EACC, and even some of our other stakeholders, and we also had the President of the Law Society of Kenya.
But Judge, let me jump in. Let's talk specifics in as far as, for example, prosecutors are concerned, because that's a real issue, that you have very few prosecutors dealing with very many matters. So do you have more prosecutors as well that will be dedicated to corruption matters?
The DPP has given that assurance. And so far, the matters that we have done, because we started sitting in July with the other judge in the division, there is not a single day that we did not have a prosecutor before us. Sometimes in complex matters, there were even 2 prosecutors. So the DPP has given that assurance that they will be ready to move at the pace we are setting.
And speaking of mega corruption, Kenyans have seen many cases. We report on that every other day here on KTN News. And many want to see those being implicated and that are guilty, held to account. So how does this, division ensure that the men and women who serve and are set apart in this group are above reproach? Is there some form of vetting? Because then you'll see this sort of cartels and corrupt individuals trying to compromise these same individuals. So are you looking into that?
For the Chief Justice to have made this appointment, he has already looked at the men and women that he's putting in that division. And I don't think it's fair to say that there are some judges who cannot be put in those divisions. It is just that the same way we have a dedicated division, for example, for the family division, we have a dedicated division for criminal, for commercial, so that those matters are given the fast track that they need. It's not because some judges cannot be trusted. It's about fast tracking those matters so that these judges and those magistrates dedicate themselves to only matters anti-corruption and economic crime.
All right. Thank you so much, Judge Lydia Achode, for making time for us here on KTN Prime.